Hey everybody, how's it going? Enjoying some cool temperatures in the shop today. We're having our Florida thunderstorms. We've been having them for last couple of days. Been having some pretty good rain showers. We've gotten a lot of rain, but with that rain brings some cool breeze and temperature, so that is appreciated. Guys, I just realized the last video I done one video where you seen where I was going to inspect the heater tube underneath the intake before we put the motor back in, and that led into finding that our intake was going south on us. And I never gave you guys an explanation of why I picked the intake that I did. So the Dorman intake the previous owner put on, this Dorman, go ahead and show you. You can see the water jacket was collapsing and it was breaking and cracking. Plus one of the gaskets here was starting to give up on the intake. Got to looking, and I believe this shouldn't be bending like that. And the reason that I didn't want to go back with the Dorman intake, because when I spoke to the previous owner of the car, he put that intake on about 4 years ago. He said he put it on in the latter part, I think, of 19. Now, this car had sat for a little over a year whenever the transmission, I done a video where it wouldn't go into 5th gear. So he had parked it, and he would drive it periodically down the road just to keep everything working, keep the, all the lubrication and to keep the gas flowing and everything. He would drive it periodically, even though it only had the 4 gears. And then one day he had the misfortune. He's not sure what happened. He said he was always real adamant about making sure the hood was shut, but on one of his drives, the hood flew up, busted the windshield. So it sat for a little over a year, and then he sold it to me. So actually this intake really only had about 3 years of good service. He said he paid $159 for it at the time. It's not a bad price, but it's a lot of work, to change out that intake. So I was doing my research. Didn't really need a $400 performance Ford intake. So I went and looked on the National Parts Depot magazine. They offered some intakes here. One is $199, and another one was $357. I called American Muscle, and I spoke to a representative. Love to have this intake. That would solve everybody's problems. This intake is pretty expensive. It's almost $500. But it's not really practical to put on a stock engine. If you do that, you really need to change some other things. You're going to have a different intake plenum, and it's just built for making some serious horsepower. So that wasn't really practical for us either, although I'd love to have it all aluminum. And then they recommended this intake here, and it was $274. But this was another Dorman intake, and they had this intake here for $219, and it looks to me like that's pretty much just another Dorman intake. And I didn't want another Dorman intake. So on a Facebook post, a gentleman shared a link to a company, Tasco Auto Parts, and I went on there and I wound up buying a factory Ford intake for $234. That is the part number and all right there. I ordered it late Thursday, and I got it that following Friday. And I was really pleased with the intake, really pleased how quick I got it. Putting a factory Ford intake back on the car, anytime you can go back factory, I think is a plus. I got back all the brass inserts for holding down the coils and other things. Everything went back factory. Of course, I went to a junkyard. I had to go get me some more bolts because the Dorman intake they do away with the brass inserts. They have a few, I guess, that they feel are very, very key, but they rely on screws like this to go back to hold the coils down and all, which there's not no pressure on it, but still, it's still plastic. You're dealing with plastic. If you tighten it down too much, you could strip it, you could break it, and then you're in a mess. So for $159, the intake lasted, you know, maybe 3 years of actual driving. So I just wanted something different. I didn't want to go back with the Dorman, so that's why we went with these, this intake from Tasco. This intake was 243 bucks. That's not much more for a factory intake than over the Dorman, and that's why I decided to go with it. So we're back to factory Ford, and I like it, and I hope it lasts. Man, if it'll last half as long as the factory one did, that's still going to be a couple years longer than the Dorman. Okay, guys, so I realized I left that out of the last video, and I needed to go back and explain to you why I made that choice. Right now, we're replacing some vacuum hoses. One of the squirrels chewed through an elbow when the gentleman owned it before me, setting up, and squirrels chewed through that. So went to the part store and got this hose. Of course, I have to trim it. We got some more vacuum hose here because some of the hose looks pretty rough. Yeah, it's just deteriorating. So we're replacing hoses. The whole goal is we're going to try to make this thing as roadworthy as possible because I got a few trips planned for it. So, all right, guys, I just realized that I did not explain why I picked the intake that I picked. So I just wanted to throw this short video on here. Hopefully I'll get better in the future about adding the important information when I'm making a video. I need to learn to make sure that I, explain these things, and I didn't. So that's why I'm doing the little short video today. Okay, guys, I hope everybody's doing great. And thank you to the subscribers, and thanks for everybody to watching the videos. And I'm going to try to get better at it. So I hope everybody's doing great. I thank you for watching, and you guys have a great day. Thank you, guys.